Yes, everyone can see my screen.
Yes, sir.
Okay, nice. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna dive into a new section, or what do you call new paradigm that is gonna helpful for you guys when you are developing applications. So how many of you here have heard the norm reactive? I'm not talking about the framework React. I am talking about reactive programming. Anyone have here heard about reactive programming? No? Okay. Okay. So basically what we're going to do is I'll do a brief introduction on reactive programming, and we will do a couple of exercises. Then we will understand how we can use reactiveness in our web applications. So reactive programming is not something new, but it is like very old way of doing some sort of computation. But the problem with reactiveness is it's hard to manage the data streams, data flows, and everything. But recent years, most of the frameworks that you will find are capable of handling uh, reactive requests or reactive programming. For example, if you guys have come across Node.js, the fundamental of Node.js related frameworks like Express or whatever the frameworks that was built on top of those things, those are heavily using the term reactive, and use reactive manifesto to in order to achieve most of the complicated task. Okay, so if you guys have seen asynchronous programming, it is something similar, but it is not the exact what do you call exact duplicate, or it's not going to be something uh, it's not going to be alike, but they share uh, similar characteristic. But reactive and asynchronous programming are a little bit different. So we will look into what normal asynchronous programming versus reactive programming is, and um, what they are in difference, what they provide. So asynchronous programming, let's go with the oldest one. The asynchronous programming, it's just when you are writing asynchronous code, it is expecting something or some point in future you will receive some value. So let's say, for example, let's say, for example, we request something. Okay, we request something, and after a while, the server is producing something. The server is doing its magic, and after a little while, when everything is done, you will get a result. Okay, so in reactive programming, okay, in reactive programming, we do the same, but when reactive programming, we have a couple of differences. So, for example, in asynchronous programming, we receive something that is a part of the execution. Okay, the requesting data, and on receiving data, it is part of the execution itself. But in reactive programming, requesting data and receiving data is two different sections. So only after we receive something, the execution actually begins. Okay. So remember the main difference in asynchronous programming, the requesting data and receiving data is considered as the execution of the flow. Okay, that is coming under the execution of the flow. But when it is coming to reactive programming, requesting data and forming the stream, we don't consider that to be part of the execution. Execution only happens right after we receive some data. Okay, we will see it in action, so you guys can get an idea. When we do asynchronous programming, the main difference is we are using promises and then. Okay, most probably if you guys are coming from React world or any web related frameworks, so you will be familiar with the terms promises, async, await, those kind of things. That kind of keywords are used in order to do asynchronous programming. But in reactive programming, we have the norms called observables and subscribers. Okay, so we have observables, that is like the data requesting part, and the subscription is where the data retrieval part, that is like the highest level of abstraction that I can give. So in asynchronous programming, we are using promise and thens or await or asyncs. In reactive programming, we use observables and subscriptions. Okay, we will see how these two are different and what benefits that a reactive program have over asynchronous programming. Okay, so if you're using a framework like Angular by default using asynchronous programming library called Rxjs. Okay, so this is the reactive manifesto or reactive extension for JavaScript. So you can find reactive extension for other languages as well. For Reactive IO, I think. Yes, reactivex.io. So reactivex.io represents the reactive part of any programming language. Okay, so reactive.io is just the manifesto. It is like an idea or a pattern that we can work in any language. Okay, so there is no like language barrier on top of it. So you guys can see the language which support reactives. Okay, so we have, if you're using, if you want to use reactive with Java, there is Rx Java, and there is one from the Spring team, which we called what is called Reactive. Yes, Project Reactor. And since we are using JavaScript, we have Rxjs, which is reactive extensions for JavaScript. And if you are going from .NET, you're going to have Rx.NET, Scala, Conjo, Swift, and there are a lot of other implementations. Depending on your language of choice, you will find reactive extension for the programming language you are working with. So by default, there are a lot of things that you can do with reactive extensions. But remember, all of these what do you call? All of these things are bound to get what do you call a unified reactive programming experience. Okay, so if you are coming from Java, if you are coming JavaScript, the way of doing reactive programming, it's going to be same, because there are a lot of what do you call patterns, okay, reactive patterns that we will use, which are implemented in each and every language in a more similar way. Okay, we will see how the examples in RxJS. As soon as you learn RxJS related patterns, it will be really easy if you try to implement these in Dart, or if you are using .NET, or if you're using Java. The concept is same. The implementation might be a little bit different, but the functionalities they provide, they'll be the same. Okay. So for example, let's say in RxJS, we can listen to a stream by subscribing to it. So in RxJS, it is subscription. RxJava, it is subscription. RxDart, it is going to be the subscription. And we can skip few of the streaming elements that we get. So it is in RxJS, it is called skip. RxJava, it is called skip, and so on and so forth. So if you learn reactive programming in one language, it will be quite similar to the other one. Okay, so this reactive extension is gaining more popularity throughout each and every platforms. So you guys can check it out if you are having a backend development or front-end development. It's really powerful in terms of asynchronous programming or promise and thens. There are a lot of things that you can do. I was like really fascinated by this technology. When I know the things, how easy a reactive extension can provide us, you will be surprised what are the things that we can do. Okay, so so doing things reactively, it is giving us some flexibility in our applications, like in other applications like Android or backend or Flutter, that kind of application. Reactive extension heavily depending on design patterns or application patterns like MVVM. Okay, so if you are using design patterns or architectural patterns like MVVM, this reactive Reactive-X or reactive manifesto is really helpful, because MVVM follows a programming paradigm called directional data flows. Okay, so if you guys, I can't remember whether you guys followed it or not, but if you guys have followed the MVVM course in Android, you will probably see the data flow for from view to view model and view model to model. Those kind of are unidirectional. So RxJS or reactive programming really helps in terms of achieving that one-way or unidirectional data flow. Okay, so we will be using reactive extension, reactive JavaScript within our applications, and we'll see what we can do in this course that we'll find most of the things reactive, and how we can create reactive streams and so on and so forth. Okay, so I'll first I will go with something simple. Okay, so let me do a refactor on here. So this. Does not format automatically. Format document. So for now, we will see. 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 we'll see how we can convert. Okay, this cards is what we call is not a it is an array of containing few names. Okay, that is as simple as that. So there are a couple of way that we can create reactive streams. Okay, we can create reactive streams, then we can work with them. The first method that is most popular one is using the operator of. Okay, so if you guys can look, of is coming from RxJS. So once you import of, make sure it is coming from RxJS, because there are a lot of other places that is going to come, and sometimes you will come. Sometimes you will try to import it from operators. Don't do that. Only from RxJS import of. Okay, so of is a way of creating reactive streams. Then we can provide whatever the data that we need to instantiate this observable or this reactive stream with. Okay, you can pass an array, you can pass an object, whatever you provide into this reactive stream, it will create a objective stream. Okay, give me a minute. So constructor, using of, you can create the observable. Then what we can do is, let me inspect. Yeah, not the source, but inspect element. Yeah. Close this. I will go to console. I don't need warnings, so I will add a filter. What's that filter? Do not show warnings, expressions. Okay. Oh. All right, so we have this off, and what you can do is we will try to instantiate this instantiate this with some values. Let's say, for example, I will instantiate a text. Okay, let's say I'm going to be saying Randika. Okay, so even though we created a observable, it is not gonna show anything. You can see that if you use promise, the promise is always expected to work with the then, as well as if you are creating an observable, you should in order to achieve, active this stream or this observable, you have to subscribe to it. Okay, so only after you subscribe to it, this stream is going to be start to work. Okay, unless you subscribe to a stream, the stream is like we call it is not active. Okay, so so when we hit subscribe, even in here we do not see anything. That is not since we did not log it or do it anything. So after you subscribe, within the subscribe message, you will get a result. Okay, and the result, we can do anything with that. So I'm gonna console log this result. Okay. And you can see Randika is printing around here. If I refresh again, yeah, you can see that Randika is printing in here. So after you subscribe, you will get the result, and the and the result is gonna print on the console. Okay, so I just give an example of one single string. Okay, you can initiate with anything. For example, let's take the cards in here, and I will input the card as input. Okay, so you can see when I put cards as input, obviously there is it's gonna print the whole array because I have input an array, and since it is an array, it's gonna print the whole thing. Okay, so it is the way that we're gonna be creating a simple string and subscribe into it and show it in the result. Okay, so this is not the powerfulness of reactive strings. There are a couple of things that we can do. Okay, so most of the time, keep it simple when we are doing reactive programming. Only do not, you can actually do any result. Based on the result, you can do any operations on subscribe, like I have did in here. Based on the result, I have put it console log. So, but my advice is do not do subscriptions, or do not have subscriptions like this. Instead of that, make sure if you have any modifications to the stream can be modified. So it is coming as a stream of cards, a stream of card details, like these details going to be coming in. Once you have this stream, once you subscribe to it, it will start to show the content or whatever the stream is it has to provide. It will be provided when you subscribe to it. But when you subscribe to it, you can do modifications to this stream. Okay, modification in the sense you can change the stream, or you can concatenate another stream, or you can just listen to the stream. Okay, so if you want to just to listen to the stream, or if you want to just modify the stream, or you need to concatenate the stream, whatever the operations that you need to do, but the best way to do is using a pipe. Okay, so every if you have observable, you can use the pipe method in order to do modification. If you give just pipe, it won't do anything. Okay, because we do not have any pipes in place. Okay, but within the pipe you can do modification to it. Okay, it's not only modifications, you can listen, modify, or you can merge in the sense you can have another stream built into this. Okay, so I will open the pipe. Remember this, the first thing I got very confusing about a reactive stream is, while I'm trying to pipe things, the curly brace is a little bit confusing. So you will lose a lot of information, or you will get lost, or you will get a lot of errors. But if you follow this method, it will be really easy. So you have this data stream, then you're going to pipe it, and you're going to subscribe it. Okay, piping is an optional thing. If you don't want to do any modification, that is fine. But if you are doing this, please make sure it to do like this. So it's make easy. So let's go within the pipe. Okay, so if I just want to listen to the stream, okay, if I just want to listen to the stream, there is an operator for that. Okay, we call that tap operator. Okay, tapping in the sense it is not gonna change the stream, it's gonna just listen to it. Okay, so we have the pipe operator. Within the pipe operator, we have the tap operator. Okay, so in the tap, whatever the data that is coming, we can see it. Okay, I will say result, and I will start a new block, and you can see that result is not used, and it's automatically, if you guys can see that result is identified as card details, because we have given the card details as the input, and result is going to be card details. So the typing is really helping right here. So if I want to just log it, I can say result. Okay. So you can see the same effect when we did subscription and when we did the subscription and we print it out, it's the same result. Okay, we're gonna tap it and we're gonna have result as the stream value, and whatever we want to do within the stream, you can go ahead and put these lambda functions and work with these things. So we call these arrow functions in JavaScript. So if you want to reduce the number of lines that you're going to be using, you can, of course, if it is one liner like this, you can reduce this curly braces, which I like the most, and these semicolons. It is the same thing without so many parentheses. Okay, so pipe, tab, and we're going to be console log. Okay, and if you like, you can have your operators like this. So again, we can do a tap operator, which will do the same thing. Okay, we're gonna tap it one more time. So if you want to merge with another operator, you just have to put a comma in here and do it again. So it is tapping 2 times to the string. Okay, so 2 times it is being trapped. So what if I want to modify the stream? I want to change something to the stream. That is also possible. Okay. So remember, we are dealing with array of objects. So in one shot, in one scenario or one payload, we're going to be receiving list of card details. Okay, we are not going to get one, but we will get an array of card details. So we can modify that by doing the operator like map. Okay, so the map operator, what it does is simply it will change the stream. The stream will be changed. So we can take the results. It shouldn't be result. Okay, if you like to name it X, you are good to go. And X dot, let's say pop. So what I'm doing in here is first I will tap to the stream and I will print it out. And next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pop. Since this is an array, we can do array operations like pop. Okay, while when we are doing pop, what will happen? It will take the first or last element. Can't remember. By using pop, I think we are losing the last element. Yes, we are using the last element. When we pop out of an array, it will get the last element and it will return to the stream. Okay, now the stream is returning the pop element. Once if you look at the pop method or the pop definition, it will remove the last element and it will return it. So what is the end result of this operation? It's gonna remove the last one and it will be returned. The last element that we removed will be put into the stream. The stream is manipulated. Now the array in here we can see card details array, but if you go here, now you can see only a card detail because we did a pop, and once you popped it, you will get one element, the popped element. But say for instance, you need to remove the last element and return the rest, then this will not work. Then what you have to do is you have to open the implementation and return X. Okay, so in this scenario, what will happen? It will remove the last element. Okay, the removed element, we don't care about it. We don't need to use it. And we will return the rest. once it is popped, we have the rest. So that means we will be removing this, and the rest is going to be the same. The rest is we are interested in. So we will return that. Okay, so you can see in first print, you will have 8 elements. In the second one, you will have 7 elements, because this since it is JavaScript, we are referring to the same object point. It's gonna, in here it will print 8, but in 7, but it will show the latest one. We can obviously fix that by returning a new variable or new instance of the X. So in here, we have to populate it like this: const new array is gonna say, let's say, X, and from the new array we will pop something and we will return new array. So by that way, 2 references are created. Yes. So this is like this is something like we called creating a new instance. Otherwise, what will happen is every operator that we're going to be doing is going to be based on this array element. So if you do manipulation within that, it will not give the print result correctly. So what we do is, first we print it out from using a tap operator. Before we map it, we create a clone of this. Okay, we create a clone by using these constructive operators. Okay, you can create an array using curly braces and 3 ellipse and X. So this will give you a new array, but it is not X, but it is called new array, and it is going to have its own memory place. So new array is going to be a new thing, and within that new array we will pop it. We will remove the last one, and we will return the new array. So at this point, we are having this memory reference, but after this separation, we are having a new memory instance or memory new array, which will return, and we can console log it. So now with the earlier on, it was referring to this, but in after this map operation, it is referring to this array. Okay, so we can use map and tab in order to do any modifications. Okay. So it's up to you to do any operations based on these things. So my recommendation is to learn these operators. So how do you know the tab is there, and how do you know map is there? So you have playgrounds to do these things. RxJS playground. So how many operators are going to be there? You know, I talked about tab, I talked about map. So what are the other things that you can do? What are the other operators that you have? So you will be surprised. It is containing more than 100 operators. Okay, more than 100 operators that you can perform on strings. Okay, so for example, I use from off operator. Then there is these are like creational ones. Okay, as I mentioned, this is the creational streams. Then there are first, last, take, from, concat, zip. There are a lot of creational. So one of the interesting one is in interval. Okay, so let's take this interval operator and subscribe its value. So let's take that, for example. We can say in interval, yes, from interval of thousands when we want to subscribe. But as in here, we most of the guys are doing operations on the subscribe, but as I mentioned, do not do that. Use pipes, okay? Using pipe and use the tap operator to look into that. We will say value and we will log it. We will log the value. Okay, let's see how it goes. And we will save it. Now you guys can see interval of 1 seconds, and we are incrementing one by one and creating a stream of values. Okay, so we are creating a stream which will give us a new value with second of with the interval of 1 second. So if you want to increase the interval, let's say I want every value by 2 seconds. Format the document. Now you can see it is taking a longer time to respond. Okay, 1, 2, likewise. Okay, you can even reduce it and get more speed, like half a second. Of course, you can do that. All right. So with the interval, you can also create. We can also create observable like this, and there are plenty of things that you can do in this way. Okay, so we will do something like this. Rather than we tapping into the observable, what we will do is we will take this number and multiply it by 2. Then we will get the result. So how to do that? Of course, we're going to be manipulating the stream. To manipulate stream, we are not going to use tap. So we're going to be using map operator. Okay, map operator will get a single value. That means in this scenario, a number. And what we need to do is multiply that value by 2. Okay, and return it. Let me format the document and let's hit save. Okay, now we need to log it as well, otherwise we can't see the value. It will be there. Oops. So make sure, as I mentioned earlier, do not get confused with the operators in parentheses and everything. So you can see, even though it's supposed to go with 1 by 1, now the stream is manipulated. It is taking the value, multiplying it by 2. Okay, 60. Yeah. So if you look at the original value, it will be different. Original value 0 to 0, 1, 2. You guys can see that when we are always coming with the value, it is going to be multiplied by 2. So map operator can what you can do is map operator can manipulate the stream and change to any value. Okay, so there are a lot of operators out there. Okay, so let me show you Ngxs operators. Okay, you'll be surprised how many operators are there. So learning these things, it will take a lot of time. Okay, no worries. But there are a lot of operators. Like these are the creational operators. The one we talked about is off and interval. A lot of other ways that we can create operators. So they are join operators. That means we can combine 2 operators into one. For example, I can have an interval observable and of observable created like this, and I can combine these things using one of these combined operators. There are use cases. Okay, you don't have to rush everything. You don't have to know everything, but when you get the time, you will get to know these things. So there are transformation operations. So we used map to transform something, right? We use transformation in here. So see how many operators that are there in here. A lot of things that you can do in order to transform the stream. We can transform this. We have transformed it here. So the value, we got the value, but we transform is by multiplying it by 2. Okay, the stream is modified right now. So you can do like that. And there are filtering operations. Okay, there are filtering operations which will do is like, say for example, I don't want any odd numbers, so I can filter. Okay, let's do one over there, and I can skip certain amount of operators. I can take the first one, like I even don't know all the operators in here. Okay, but if work cannot be done, okay, I just come here and read through these operators, then I get an idea. Okay, this is gonna helps in this way, that kind of thing. So there are join operators, multicasting operators, okay, and error operators. What will happen if there is an error? And there are utility operators like tab, delay, and all those things. Conditional Boolean operators, like we can, if we can say, okay, if the value is empty, you can do something, and if the value is not empty, you can do another thing. Like there are a lot of things that you can do by like executing the values. There are aggregation operators, min, max. You can do stream processing in there. So there are a lot of operators that you can play around. I'm not expecting you to master all, but at least know the things that you will need in order to work. Okay, at least know 5 or 6 operators. In that way, you are confident in what you are doing. Okay, so let's do some of the exercise together. Okay, so I want to show. Oh, I want this. Yes, this interval pipe. Let me just unsubscribe, or I don't use this this constructor based one, the off one. I'm not gonna subscribe to it, so it won't activate. But in here, I will have the map operator, and I will multiply it by 2. Now, what I want is, my requirement is you guys to help me with this, is that you guys to tell me, I need to print out, let's keep the print functionality for now. Okay, I need to print out all the values which will be all the odd numbers. How do we print only the odd numbers in this scenario? Right now, it's gonna print all the numbers. Now I want to print only the odd numbers. Any cases, Ramindu? Pasindu? Chanaka, any ideas? Supuni? Hello, you guys are there? Padma? I think Padma is not here, right? Tarun, any ideas? Hello?
No, sir.
Okay. So you guys got the idea, right? Or didn't you get it? Pasindu, what about you? Hello? බල්ලෙක් කෑ ගහලා ගියා පසින්දු. මොනවද ඇහුනේ නන්නේ?
So can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Did you get the concepts in here?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Okay. So can you answer the question? How are you gonna print the odd numbers? Only the odd numbers.
We can use that tab method and put modular sign there to kind of a conditional. We can add a if statement there.
Okay. If we use tab operator, we are not gonna modify the stream. So we have to modify the stream in order to only give us odd numbers.
We can use filter there, no?
Yes, we can use the filter operator. Okay. Filter. So how are we gonna filter?
Modulus
Okay.
that N2.
Okay. Modulus and 2. Then, so in order to filter something, you have to give a value. So value divided by 2, it's gonna be a number. So we have to give the filter a Boolean expression. So here we have to say, okay, if anything divide by 2 is 0, then it's gonna print the even numbers. Then to odd numbers, you can say simply, if it is not 0, then print it out. Okay, so now you are getting the only the even, only the odd numbers. Get the point? Okay, when you are applying a filter, make sure you give a Boolean expression whether this value to be filtered or not. If it is need to be filtered, you have to return true. Otherwise, it will return false. So if I say just in here true, that means there is not going to be any filter. If I say false, everything is going to be filtered out. Nothing is going to be shown. But if I put a condition in here, like whatever the value that you are getting, divided it by 2, and the value it will provide when the value is divided by 2 and the value it get is not equal to 2, not equal to 0, then you can print it. So you guys can see that it is printing only odd numbers. Okay. So we can surely see these things in our console. But what if I want to show these values in here? How are you gonna do that? Any guesses? So I'm gonna leave this out. I'm gonna say H1. So how are you gonna do that? Ravindu, any ideas? I need to show this in here. Okay, like we did in here, we can say, okay, we have public count. Okay, count it's gonna be starting from 0, let's say. And if I want to show here, I can do a two-way binding like this. Now you can see 0 is there, but the count is not incrementing. So what we can do to increase this count? What is the method that we're going to be looking at in here? So we can say tab operator, whatever the value we are getting, this dot count will be that value. Okay. So now you can see we get that odd numbers in here. Okay, it is printing rather than printing on the console. You can clearly see it in the website itself. Okay, make clear? Make sense? Do I need to do further what do you call further explanation on this? Please raise your hand if you need. Everyone can understand these concepts? Okay. Kavindi, did you get what we did here? Tarun?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, I got it.
Okay. So we did a small counter in here. That is okay. And your next assignment in here is that you guys need to build a stopwatch. Okay, you guys need to build a stopwatch based on RxJS operators and everything. Okay, that is your assignment. So you guys know what a stopwatch is. So there is stop and a pause button. Okay, when you click start, what will happen? It will start to count numbers. At least second by interval is enough. You don't have to go to milliseconds and everything. So when you click start, it should start to counting like this. And when you click pause, what should happen? The values should stop counting. Okay. Then when you again press start, what will happen? If you hit not pause to resume, it should resume the values. If you hit start again, it will be resetting. Okay. So the functionality is, if you hit start, it will start from the beginning. But when you started the value, if you hit pause, it will stop counting, and either you can use the same button saying resume. If you click resume, what will happen? It will start the count again where we left off. But if you start again, or like click the start button, it will count from the 0 again. Okay, it will reset. Okay, anyone have any question on that? No? Ravindu, all good?
Yes, sir. We have to use the RxJS concept, right?
Yes, we need to use RxJS in order to achieve that. Okay, that is the exercise, because we need to use RxJS operators. You need to master those things. Okay, so using RxJS, you need to start this counter and everything. I mean, obviously, it's going to be really simple. We have played the groundwork, so it will be really easy. Okay, and let me show you some mistakes most of the developers do is. You subscribe to something, right? Okay, you subscribe to something. Then unless you unsubscribe, this is gonna be emitting values. This is going to be emitting values forever. Okay. So what will happen if we leave this subscription as it is? We don't unsubscribe to this, or we don't close this stream. What will happen is, even though we are in the home component and we go to the login component first, or let's go to the map component somehow. Okay, and if you come back, this stream, it's gonna be creating again, but the older stream, it will be there. It will be running because we did not stop that. Okay, if I go back again and come back here, of course you will see something starting from the beginning. But what happened is, we have two subscribed streams which are running on the background, but we forget to unsubscribe to it, and it is going to cause us a memory leak. Okay, so the memory leak, in the sense, you still have the subscription for the old values, and you don't have unsubscribed from it. So the old values keep emitting, and it will create a memory leak. So your project, or when you have a lot of subscription laying around and you forgot to unsubscribe them, it will consume memory very quickly and your application will be slowed down. Okay, so first thing first, if you subscribe, make sure to unsubscribe. Okay, if you subscribe, make sure you unsubscribe this. There are a lot of ways you can unsubscribe. Okay, for example, there are operators that do this for us. Okay, so let's say, for example, there is this operator called take. Okay, take operator will do whatever the number of values we are going to be putting in here. It will take that amount of information, and it will stop. Okay, so now you can see I have put take 10. That means incoming first 10 numbers will be considered, and other will be the subscription will end after that. So no more subscription on that. Let's see how it's in how we can see. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and there you go. So if you say take 10, within this stream, it will take 10 numbers, or 10 elements, 10 elements that is coming from here. After that 10 elements, it will automatically unsubscribe. Okay, it will no longer take anything, it will unsubscribe. Okay, so you can do other things as well. Take operator is one of the way that we can unsubscribe to a stream, or you can do you can manually unsubscribe. Okay, you can do manual unsubscribe. So so you can take after you subscribe to anything, you will get a subscription. Okay, you will get a subscription. So I can say subs. I normally say subs. It's going to be a type of subscription. So whenever you subscribe to anything, it will be available as a subscription. Okay, so most of the time the subscriptions going to be terminated or done manually. What we can do is we need to have this in a global manner. So I will say private. We don't need to use const, private subscription, and it's gonna be subscription type. Okay, now I can say this dot subscription equals whatever the subscription that is coming from this interval. Okay, so we have this subscription. Once we create the subscription, it will be there. So now I can manually stop this subscription. Okay, let me show how. I will create a button. Okay, and I will create a click event in here. Once I click on the button, what should happen? Let's say do unsubscribe. Unsubscribe. I'm not sure the spelling. I hope it is correct. So I will say unsubscribe, and when I say do unsubscribe, I have to implement this method in my controller. Do unsubscribe, and I can say this dot subscription. There is a method called unsubscribe. Okay, now we have a home component and a button. In a home component, there will be an unsubscribe button. And when you click on the unsubscribe button, it will execute this do unsubscribe method. What do unsubscribe method will do is simply the subscription that we took, it will unsubscribe. Let's see it in action. Going home. Now it is subscribed to the stream, and we will hit unsubscribe. There you go. You can see as soon as we click on it, it will unsubscribe. Okay, so you can subscribe to a stream and unsubscribe anytime you like. Okay, so there are certain these are like certain cases that we can use. When you click on, you can unsubscribe. But there are certain scenarios where we don't need to maintain the subscription and unsubscription. For example, let's have this sample like. If I am coming to the home element or home component in here, I need to start the subscription. Okay, it's gonna start in here. The subscription will start from here. But when I am leaving this component, make sure to unsubscribe. Okay, you have to do unsubscribe. So you can do that. So there are lifecycle hooks in here. So now you know how to manually unsubscribe. So there are lifecycle hooks in Angular. So it is ng on create, and there is one called ng on destroy. On destroy. Okay. So on destroy, what will happen? So on init is created. On init is called when we are executing the once the initialization happens, and on destroy will be created when we are destroying. So if you go to map, there will be an exception happening, which will do the sorry, where was I? To home. Yeah, it will throw a exception here. Okay, let's remove that exception for now. And if I go to the map, and you can see that the memory leak in here, right? So you guys can see that even though I am in the map screen, still we are receiving these values. Okay, these are issuing, or these are still working. Now if I go back, another stream is created, 2 streams are working on. So you can see that that's why I'm saying when you subscribe to a stream, make sure to unsubscribe. If I go back again, a new map is created, and if I go back again, you can see 3 streams are created. And unless you did not close your stream, the more time you come and go, more streams will be created. You can see that there are a lot of streams. If you only refresh this page, it will be reset to 1. Okay, so subscribing to a stream is okay, but if you don't unsubscribe, that will gonna leave a mark. Okay, so now you can see it is counting. If I go to map screen again, still it is counting. If I go back, another stream is created. The old stream is also working. That's going to leave a lot of confusion in here. The stream is still working. So make sure when you are exceeding this, and we don't no longer need that stream, you have to unsubscribe it. So the best way that you can do is you can call this on destroy method, or I don't need to manually unsubscribe these things. So I'll remove this button. Now what Angular does is it automatically unsubscribe when we are leaving the component. Now you can see that I will refresh. Now you can see that we have subscribed to the stream. The stream is showing values. Now if I go to the map value, you can see that when I leave the home component, the onDestroy method is called. Within the onDestroy method, the unsubscription happens. So the subscription is no longer active. So it's gonna unsubscribe and it will gonna come here. If I go back again, it will start. If I go to the map screen, it will stop. But if I go back again, it will start a new screen. It's not gonna be the old one. That's the importance of subscribing and unsubscribing. Most of the programmers, most of the applications that I have seen, they do subscribe, but they forget to unsubscribe. In that way, a lot of issues are creating, a lot of errors are printing here and there. Unstable applications are created due to that reason. So make sure if you subscribe to a stream, if it is no longer needed, make sure to unsubscribe. That's simple. Okay. So that is one way of there are a few ways that I have told. You can subscribe to a stream using this. You can unsubscribe using the take operator, and you can unsubscribe using referring to the subscription and call in the unsubscribe method. Okay, there are a lot of ways that you can subscribe and unsubscribe. Okay, so this is good. This is completely fine to work with, but there can be consequences, or there can be ways that you obviously going to make this mistake over and over again. Sorry. So in my opinion, in my experience as well, I have done the same thing. I have subscribed to something, but I forget to unsubscribe. Okay, so it leaves me a couple of more bugs, and once I found it, it's, oh, I did not unsubscribe. So there are a couple of handy ways that that I will show in Angular that you can use to subscribe when you are entering the component, and when you are leaving the component, it will be automatically unsubscribed. So you don't have to write subscription and everything, and you don't have to see on unsubscribe and everything. It will be automatically taken care of for you. Okay, let's see how we can do that. I will do a slight modification in here. So before that, I will do a commit. So you guys can refer interval subs. Okay, I'll do a commit and I will push this. So this is one way. Okay, another way is there, automatically subscribing and unsubscribing to the stream. You don't have to write these lot of boilerplate codes. Okay, so I'm going to remove onInit, onDestroy. No longer I'm going to be using. So I'm going to remove these things as well. Don't need implements. Okay. So now my code is break again because I haven't unsubscribed. Okay, that's fine. That is intended. And I will remove this operator since you guys know that as well. I won't be using this subscription as well, and I'm not going to be subscribing to this. I will not subscribe. Okay, so since it is not subscribing, it is not going to show me any values. Okay, that is fine as well. Format document. Okay, let's look nice. So now, of course, we have the information that we have in here. And so now what we need to do is, without using any subscription or anything else, we need to have this count incremented, as well as the subscription should happen, and automatically unsubscribe should happen. Okay, so what we will do is we take this as a stream. Okay, this this unless we subscribe to this. Okay, we can create subscribe at the end. If we did not subscribe to this, it's going to be an observable type. Okay, that means it's going to be observable. That means it is like the definitions of data fetching. So it's not we are not listening to these streams. So this is just a definition of how the value is going to come. Okay, so we call this as an observer. Okay, once you subscribe to it, it's going to be a subscriber. So this is an observer. We will create an observer called count. Okay, so we don't need this step operator even. Okay, we don't need this step operator as well. Okay, what we'll do is simple interval operator. It will emit one value by another within 500 milliseconds, and it will filter any even numbers. So only the odd numbers will show. Okay, so this is our observable. What we can do is rather than having this count as a number, we can make it as a observable number. Okay, what we call is a observable number. That means it's going to give us some numbers, but it's going to be as a observable, not as a direct number, but as an observable number. So if you say this dot count, it's perfectly matched. Observable. Okay. Let's organize import. Format document, source action, so sort imports, organize import, right? Observable is not generic. That is not true. Oh, sorry. Make sure you are getting RxJS observable. We are getting OL observables, like open layer ones. So this is wrong. That's the main issue when you are doing auto imports. Make sure you are importing the correct one. Import from RxJS. Okay, there you go. So we have now we convert this count to observable count. Okay. Now if you look at the interpretation, it's going to say object. Okay, it's not going to show the number. We will see how we can get that as well. So rather than now, this is an observable for clarity to differentiate normal variable from observable variables. What we do is, as a force of habit, we add a $sign to the end of the variable. So when somebody is looking at this variable, okay, the variable is count and it is a observable. It is a stream. That's what we indicate by this $sign. It is optional, but most of the industrial standards or most of the people who are working in industry, they use this to annotate, okay, saying, okay, this is an observable. Okay, so we have created an observable, okay, not a subscription. Unless you subscribe, this is going to be an observable. Okay, now the observable name is called count $. Now as I mentioned earlier, unless you subscribe to this, it won't gonna emit values. You have to subscribe to this in order to retrieve those values. So how are you going to do that? So of course you can click subscribe in here. Then the type will be different because we are expecting observable number and we are subscribing to it. Now the type is going to be subscription. So the type is incompatible. Okay. So we need to be we need to somehow to subscribe to this count stream or count $stream in order to retrieve those values. Okay, that is how we're gonna get the values. Unless you subscribe, remember that every time I'm speaking about these things, unless you subscribe, you won't get values. Okay, you have to subscribe. So you can't subscribe from the code, but there is a nice way to do in Angular. You can subscribe within the HTML code itself. So, okay, so there is a special, we call these things as pipes. Okay, the pipe operator, and there is a built-in pipe called async. Okay, so built-in async pipe, what we'll do is, okay, you are giving me a stream. So the built-in async operator, what it will do is it will automatically subscribe when it is created. So you don't have to worry about subscription and everything. It will be automatically subscribed for you. Okay, the async pipe, what it does is it will be automatically subscribing to you. Now you can see a lot of code is being replaced or removed due to this. It will be removed, and it will take less interest on writing the subscription and unsubscription and everything. It will be automatically subscribed for you. Okay. What about the unsubscription? You mentioned that when you are subscribing, you have to unsubscribe. So how are you going to unsubscribe? Of course, the async function do the subscription for you. What about the unsubscription? So you don't have to worry about that as well. The async pipe is intelligent enough. If you subscribe to this, and once you unsubscribe to this, it will unsubscribe as well. Once you leave this component, you don't have to worry. The unsubscription is also happened, or it is done automatically for you. Okay, so two birds in one stone. You don't have to subscribe, and you don't have to worry about unsubscription as well. You just need to show the stream. The stream will do the rest of the job. Okay, so observables is like really powerful once you learned it quite well, and it's going to be really interesting to see these kind of things. So yeah, you guys can play it around. Now the fundamentals are done. Fundamentally, everything that you need to work with observable, subscribing, unsubscribing. How do you do it manually? How do you do it by using async pipe? Everything is laid out for you, so you can really easily work on this. Okay. All right. Any questions up until this? Yes. So why I'm telling you these things is because reactive programming is taking world by storm. Okay, most of the web application these days we are using, in one way or another, it will be using reactive streams. Okay, so it is good that you know these concepts beforehand. You are going to the industry, even though you are a backend developer or front-end developer, doesn't matter. The reactive manifesto, the reactive concepts, it's going to be the same. Okay, so you can do a lot of things with reactive streams if you do good practice on it, and if you know how to subscribe, if you know how to unsubscribe, that's gonna add a huge value to your profile and your knowledge as well. Okay, any questions, guys, up until this? No? Okay. All right. If there is nothing, what we'll do is we'll take a 5-minute break and come back, and we will look into more stuff with HTTP calls and how we can utilize subscriptions. Okay. take 5-minute break and let's come back. Okay, let's start again. So we'll be looking into more things related to web development in terms of front end, and there are a lot of things that we need to cover in terms of connecting the front end to a back end. That is like obviously most fundamental things that you will see. So right now, what we have done is we have no connections with the outside world. We're just showing things created in the front end, and we did not do any manipulations. So right now, what we're gonna do is we're gonna call a backend or call a REST API and try to retrieve those values and show it in here. Okay. So in order to achieve that, you need what you call observables knowledge, how observables works and how we can work with observables. So what we'll do is we will use a dummy REST endpoint API, and we will try to get those values and show it in here. So most of the time on my lectures, I use what do you call that? JSON placeholder. JSON placeholder is the place that we're going to take fake REST APIs, so we can just use those things. So the JSON placeholder will give us a bunch of values in here. So if I go to this post, it will show me some values which is coming from internet. It will contain a user ID, title, and a body. Okay, so I will be calling this and getting those values and show it in my screen. So it's going to be simple. Okay, so what I can do is I will create another page, so makes things clear. I will use Ngxs for that, and I will generate a module, schematic module. The module name is going to be post. Okay, and it's going to create post, and the project that I'm going to be learning e-learning module, it's going to be app module. I will create it to I will bind it to app module, and I will work on a path. So I will say post. It should be a route. So when I am creating a route, it will create the components, modules, and everything. And yes, it will create routing model for sure. Yeah. Scope is children, so it will automatically create that as well. So if I hit run, there you go. There is the post, but I forgot to put it in the right place. I will move it to page. Move it. Yes, please update. And if you go with the app routing module, you will see a post module, and when it's going to be a child one. So if I go to post routing, everything is done. So if I go to post now, there you go. The page is created for me with the lazy loading and everything. That's easy when you are using code generators like this. Close this now. Kill terminal. Yes. So I'll turn on the post components. Okay. So now what I do need is to get the list of posts and show it in here in a nice way. So what I'll do is I will use this title. I will show this title in a nice manner, and then you guys can work on it. Do the extension on this. So the best way that you need to do is you don't write every logical implementation in the code itself. So separation of concerns or separation of things is really important in terms of Angular components or Angular code architecture. So what we can do is in here right now, it is not showing anything. There is no structured way of getting data. So what I will do is I will have a business layer, or what we can do is a logical layer called services. Okay, so rather than writing all the logic within the component itself, we write the business logic and the data retrieval part and everything in a different location. By doing that, what will happen is you will get separation of concerns. So it is easy to handle your business logic and your view. This is going to be your view, your component. It has a different place. Okay, so I will create a service. It's simple as going to Ngxs again and finding a Angular service, not a service worker. Okay, we talk about service workers in the later part. Post. The service is going to be called post service. Okay, you can say post or posts, whatever suits you. Project it's going to be E2E, and where I'm going to put these things, I'm not going to put it in the root, but I will put where it's copy relative path. Let me see. Yes, I'm gonna put it in relative to post as well. So I know where to look the file that I'm looking for. So if I run, it should create something in here. Yes, I got the post service. Let me kill this. Kill terminal. Okay. So this is a service. Okay, the service is it's like a logical injectable location or injectable file that in your piece of code. So service can have business logics. So I need this post service to be injected to my component. So as long as it is decorated with injectable annotation, I can go ahead and inject this in my component. So I will copy the name. I'll go to post component. Within the constructor, I will say private. I will paste it. I will say the name will be post service, and the class is going to be post service. Okay, now I can inject that service within my component. Now whatever the logic that I want to do, I will be creating it in here. Okay, so in order to work with HTTP calls that I'm going to be doing a call into here, what I need is I need some sort of library, some sort of component that will do the calls for me. Okay, so we will use one of the built-in components or built-in modules in order to create a HTTP code. Okay, so first of all, we need to inject the modules, if you guys can remember. And most of the time when we are using HTTP related stuff, we use HTTP module. Okay, HTTP module that we can use to do HTTP calls. So we use HTTP modules. Give me a second, guys. Oh, that is the curse of working from home. Your child can burgeon anytime. Okay. So we'll be using HTTP module, HTTP client module per se. Okay. Make sure to inject within the app module. So every place or every modules is able to access this HTTP client module. Okay, now within the service, you can inject private HTTP client. Okay. So using this HTTP client, we're going to be doing HTTP calls. Okay, this is the one that we're going to be using to do the calls. So how are we going to do that? Simple. We have to define what we're going to do. It's going to be a simple get, right? So I can say a method get posts. All right. Simple enough. And within the get post, we should, the next thing that we should do is leverage the usage of RxJS and as well as TypeScript. So you guys can see that there is a user ID, title, and a body. So I can model this in here as well. So I will define an interface and I will try to export it. Of course, you can define it in a model file on a separate file. But for now, for simplicity, I will put it in here. I'll put a post interface, and there is a user ID. I will model that as well. User ID, it's going to be a number, as I can see. Yes, and number. Yes, and there will be ID. It's going to be a number as well. Okay, there is going to be title. And it's going to be a type of string, and there's body, which is also a type string. Okay, so when I call this endpoint, I will get a list of. You can see it's a list. Okay, list of observables. Sorry, list of posts. So how we are going to define that? Okay, when I am returning this, it's going to be a list of posts. So, this is going to be the returning type, but as we will see, we will be using it as an observable stream. I will wrap it around observable post list. Okay, it's everything, every call that we're going to be making in the HTTP request, it's going to be the type of observables. Okay, so now what we'll do is we will create the request. Okay, we can use the HTTP client. Okay, and HTTP client has this get method. We are going to get some detail. So we have to provide the place that we're going to get. We are going to get data from this URL. Okay, and once we got this, we will be returning the got values. But when we are doing that, we are getting an error saying, okay, get request is not known, because we can pass what the data type that we're going to be getting. So I can say we will get list of posts. List of posts. So there you go. So we don't have any errors. So let me walk through once again. So we'll be getting posts. Okay. And it's going to be obviously observable, but you can see the observable is not a single object but an array of posts. Okay, so we can say it's going to be array of posts, and using the HTTP client get method, this is going to be a get. We will be retrieving values, and when we are retrieving that values, we will get a list of posts. Okay. In here, you don't actually need to say this if you have defined this value. Now the post returning type will be observable post because we have mentioned in here. So we'll be getting values, but it's going to be list of posts, and it will wrap around observable. So you can see observable list of posts is returned to us. So really simple, and we will be getting these values. Now the service is done, where the backend call happens. We have done it. So we will go back here using the post service. We will observe that method. We will observe that. So you guys can remember we use post streams. Okay, and it's gonna be type of servable, and it's going to return a list of posts. Okay, now we have to retrieve that. So this dot post equals, now we can use the post service. Within the post service, this dot post service, and we have the get post method. Okay, there you go. And once you have done it, what will happen is we format the code. Now let me walk through once again. When we are creating this component within the constructor, it will inject the post service. And while we are creating, we are also going to call the post service get post method, which is this. It will return a list of posts wrapped around in an observable, and whatever the value that we got, we will assign it to post stream that we have put it in here. Now we can go in here and we can unfold it. Okay, so I will use a div, and within the div I will say, since it is an array, I will loop things for us. Ngx let post of post stream, and it should be async as well. Post. Did you mean post? Okay, post. We don't have this. We have a post stream, and one element is called post, and we will feed it to async pipe. And if I hit post dot, and you can see if we done the mapping correctly, you will get all the details that you need to see. So right now I'm interested in title, and I will hit save, and there you go. All the post titles that you will see from the backend is shown around here. Okay, you can do quite interesting stuff. So these are everything value coming from the backend. Let's see whatever this value is, and yeah, you can see it is the same as the value that we are getting. So if you want to show let's say you want to show the ID of these things, you can simply come here and bind with ID. And now you see all the IDs. It's going to get 100 values. You can do whatever you like. You can bind anything with this. If you're interested in body, yes, you get the body and everything. And if you want to make these things look more nicer, obviously you can use UI components elements. So for example, if I want to show this in a card, I will use card modules module from Angular material, and I will use not movie, Angular material, and I will say card. Here I can import card module, and I can use card module in my module section. Now the met card is available for me. So rather than calling a div, I can say met card, and it's gonna be a met card in here. And within the met card, you will find met card header. Yes, within the header, I can say post dot title. So there you go. It is shown in a card. I don't see the card. Okay, the background color and the foreground color is too different. Let me post background color, something like azure. Okay, still not showing. Met card plus met elevation 0. It's elevation, right? Elevation, sorry. Elevation One, let's say two, three. It's hardly see. Let's change the color a little bit more. Let's say very dark one. I'm not sure. 9999. Little bit. God said it's not dimensional. I think you guys can see. Let's do a very bad color. Even red you can't see. Oh, this is CSS, right? I have to change it to SCSS. So it will work. CSS, post component, SCSS. Still not working. Not sure. Let me put it in a div and see whether it's work. Div, within the div, I will call this. And I put the card. Oops. Put my card in a div. No, nothing. What is that? Am I getting an error? Let's see. Console. Okay, I think the network error is there. I'm not sure why it is not showing as expected. Let's put a style and see. Background color, let's say. Right. Okay, I think the card B is taking a huge area, so I might add, let's say, margin of, let's say, 10 pixels. Okay, there you go. Card was visible, it was taking the whole area. That's why it is not right. So yeah, you can get the values from the API endpoint and show it in a way like this. So you don't have to worry much more about the UI. Mat content, within the mat content, you can say post dot body, and yeah. So you guys get a lot of things out of the box, and you can work on it. So you don't have to worry about the UI and everything. So really simply, you can get API related data from backend. Then you can work around it. So let me walk through one time again. So in order to retrieve backend data, you'll be using something called a service. Okay, that is a best practice that you can do, separation of concerns. So you have a service, and with the post service, you will be using HTTP client. Make sure if you are using HTTP client, you inject the HTTP client module in the app module. Otherwise, this won't work. And within this HTTP client, you will be using the get method that it supports. And within the get method, you have to provide all the URL that you are supposed to get the data from. And it will return an observable of whatever the data type that you're going to give. In my case, we are using post. And we are expecting a list of posts, and we will get a list of posts in our component by calling the post service get post. This method is arbitrary. You can name whatever you want, but for clarity, you'll be always using something like this. So you will get post service get post, and it will return observables of post. And as you can remember, we can use that as sync pipe, so you don't have to do subscription and subscription on your own. You'll be doing this a normal way. Angular will take care of it. And once the subscription is done, you will get a single post, and I will bind it to a mat card with whatever the values that I like to show. So really simple when you're talking about getting data from the backend and everything that you need to do. It's really simple. Take a closer look on this and play around these things. So you'll be you will find plenty of things that you can do. Also, you can do reactive forms and everything. So simply this is easy for you. Right. So anything that you guys missed or you guys need to know about these things? Like making HTTP requests, what are the things that you need to know? What are the things that you will find? I mean, obviously, this is not the best way. We don't do URL coding like this. We don't do modeling in the service layer. We have different standards for that. But for demonstration purposes, we can have this. But in real life, make sure to move these models, DTOs, into a separate what do you call a separate class, and these services that we are calling, all the services that we should call, those calls should have like a base URL. Like we will be copy pasting this a lot in a lot of places that we don't want to do that. We will use a base URL or sometimes an interceptor to the. There are a lot of things, but I'm not going to cover these things. But at least you get an idea how easy it's to call an API, get the values, and show it in Angular. Okay. Right. Anything that you guys did not understand about this section? Obviously, observables helps. You can do a lot of manipulations in here. Even in here, you can do manipulation. Like if I want to do a pipe, that is totally fine. I can do a pipe request in here, but normally I recommend if you are doing something with the business logic, do a pipe in here, but that doesn't limit you from using a pipe around here as well. So you can use a pipe in here, okay? And if you want more modifications, you can use a pipe in here. That is also possible. So two pipes can live within the same string. How many numbers of pipes that you're going to be using, it's up to you. You can do any modifications in here. So it will work without an issue. Sorry. So yeah, any questions from this? No? Okay. All right. So you guys' next assignment is let me demonstrate the requirement so you guys can easily see. We'll create a toolbar. Toolbar module. Once you get the hang around of these things, it's like in your blood. Toolbar. Okay, so you get the toolbar. I will say the color to try. Okay, you can see something nice in here, and your objective is within this toolbar there will be two buttons. Okay, let's say button. Let's say menu. So the menu button. Okay, this should be a hamburger menu icon. Like most of you have seen the three strokes button. We call that a hamburger menu icon. So when you click, when you are in, sorry, you only need to show that hamburger menu. Please write this down. Sorry, you only need to write. You only need to show the menu icon whenever you are in mobile mode only. If you make the screen larger, if you come against non-mobile resolution, you don't need to show the menu icon. Okay, you don't need to show the menu icon. That is optional. Okay, so if you click on the menu icon, you should come with a side navigation. Okay, you can use material side navigation. It is available. So you click on material, you click on the menu, it will reveal the side navigation, and you can use that. If I can show you that side nav. Okay, material side navigation. I'm making things easy. If you like custom components, go ahead. But using something like this, it will help you a lot. So I think yes, if you click on it, you can see the side navigation comes in. So in mobile view, you have to show it, and when you click on it, and it should go. Okay, the menu button functionality is this. Also make sure the menu button is shown only when you are in mobile resolutions, articles. Okay, and there should be another button in here. Okay, a button, let's say fetch data. Okay, once you click fetch data, then and only the JSON placeholder value should be populated in here. Okay, you click on it, it will fetch data, and there should be a button in here. Okay, actions and button, view more. Let's say view more. Okay, so once you have a card in here, there will be a view more button. Once you click on view more button, what should happen is you should take to next page or another page which containing all the details. Let's say, for example, in here we have post, and you guys can clearly see this one has an ID. Let's take the ID in here. Okay, so you have an ID. When you click more, what should happen? You should take whatever the values that you will see in here and show it in another page where it shows in only one record. Okay, so we have a list of records. Once you click on it, you should only see you have whatever you have selected, it should show in that page, and make sure all the other things are not showing back and forth. You can click back and you can go back and see the things. So view more, and it will show all the details. And when you click back, it should come back to this page. And whatever the details that you will see in here, it should be shown in another page, not in this page. Another page should be routed, and it should show whatever the values that you get from this ID. Make sense? Anyone need any more clarifications? So there is fetch data, there is menu, there is view more. Those are the things. Menu should be only visible in the mobile view. View more should navigate to a next page and show only the selected details. Yes. Any questions? All clear? Ravindu, everything is clear?
Yes.
Okay. Pasindu, everything is clear?
Yes, sir, it's clear.
Okay. So take a good look in this, and make sure you do the styling and everything. I'm not gonna do all the stylings for you. You guys can apply whatever the styles that you like, then you can work on it. Okay. So we will be covering. We have covered a lot of media queries and everything. So you guys know what to do with the showing and hiding part and everything else associated with that. Okay, so we did In the backend data, we have seen observables. Now we will move into a new section. Okay. So there are a couple of what do you call, a couple of sections that we can go through. Let me see, just give me a second. So we covered geolocation. Closeness. Web and native experience, mobile description option, mobility friendly makeup, style from images and layouts, mobile web apps, detect mobile features, describe geolocations, test mobile experience. Okay. The next thing is we can do is so we talked about SPA related offline support, right? Like PWA features. We talked those things, right? On last lectures, as I can remember. Styling. Okay, information, organization, offline support, SPAs, frameworks, client, geolocations, usage. We have talked about those things. Yeah, pretty much. I think what we need to cover within the syllabus itself, we have covered, and we have done a little bit more. Testing on emulators, simulators, and device hardware and desktop browsers, mobile app debugger. Okay, one major thing that we will be looking at is testing and test automations, right? Yeah, that part I think I will I'll have to come on different lecture, because it's did we cover the concept behind testing? I think not in this lecture per se, or not within this course content, but in earlier lecture series, did we cover the unit testing, end-to-end testing, and all those things? Did we cover the basic concepts behind testings? So otherwise, I need to make those things as well. Hello? Did we create the things? Hello?
Sir, did we do the state management in the Angular?
State management we can cover. I'm asking before that, did we do any testing related theories? So I can focus. Like
No, I think no.
Earlier on, did you guys followed the Android one with related to
In the previous semester we did that Android and Flutter related test cases.
Okay, so you know the basic around testing, right? So I don't have to start from scratch, right?
Yes, yeah, no need to start from scratch.
Okay, right. That helps a lot. Otherwise, I have to say what is testing and everything. Takes a little bit time. Okay. All right. So I will postpone the test creation for later on. I need to do some before doing something. I need to refresh some tests related with myself as well. Did not do any end-to-end test or unit tests in terms of web technologies recently. So let's start it in another lecture, maybe next one. So yeah, so Tarun, right? You were asking about the state management.
Yeah.
Okay. So anyone here think I can cover state management today? Yeah, it's really simple in terms of if you are using the right tools. State management is really simple. Everybody like to know about state management, what it is for, and it's really complicated. How to resolve a really complicated application into more feasible way. Anyone like to know about those technologies? I can have a few more. I mean, within this hour, I think I can cover. Will it help all the others as well? Raise your hand if you are interested. State management. Yeah. Okay. So state management, in the sense, it is not it is not limited to Angular. When the application become more complex and complex, there are certain things we don't have control of. We need a global way of communicating between two different components. Okay, let's start with a simple component. Then I will show you why state management is necessary. Okay. So okay. First of all, we need to understand few different way or Angular does without state management. How do we communicate? How do we pass data? So let me quickly do a modification in my application. Let me go to the post module. I will take the toolbar from here and I will apply it in here. So I'm going to have a global toolbar. That is what I'm going to do right now. My toolbar, I'm not going to be using in the post, but I'll be using it in the app audio. Okay, so I have a menu and I need button and icon, so I will get that as well. Mat button module, mat icon module. I think I have to import icon. Okay, let me get a nice looking menu and I will say mat button. Say mat icon will be yeah. So there you go. Oh, it should be mat icon button. Yeah, there you go. So I have a nice mat icon button in here. But if you look at this, it is located in my app component. Okay, but let's say I will have another button. Span class space. I'll have another button. Let's say let button fetch. We'll just have a button over here. So, so you guys can see that I have created a toolbar in my app component. Okay, and within my app component, I have created something. And I have a button in here called fetch. It is located in my app module. Okay, but when I click fetch, I need to load data. I need to load data within this post section. Okay, so I need to convey the message when I have clicked the fetch button. Now the post component should react upon that. When we click on the fetch button, the post module should fetch these values. Okay, that is, so there is no way that I can say, okay, get these values and show it in here. There is no connection between these things. Okay, but I will show you first of all, one simple way of communicating between parent and a child. Okay, let's say we have this post component. Okay, right. I don't have anything right now within the post, so I will create a component, a normal component in here. Let's say, for example, I will create a component with the module. Let's generate a module. Semantic module, let's say I will create a component called post. Okay, elearn module is gonna be also post. Name of the module, and I will create this, and say for example app, we have pages, and I will create another folder called components. These are like components which are not related to anything, or I can just create within the post if it is not going to be used outside. But for now, I will create within the within a common place. So anyone in here can use that. E-learning, and there's not going to be a module. I will create the module first. Okay, so there is this post module. I better put it in a folder. Post. Okay, I will move that, and I will create a component. Generate a component. Angular component. Name is going to be post as well. Project is there. Module is post. E-learning and module, I have to give the copy relative path. I think I have to remove these things. It's not app components post. Looking in directly, I don't know that seems. Okay, so under component post, and I will be SES. I will skip these things. Just try it. Okay, I think I have created in the wrong place. Move it to this. Everything is updated. Hope so. Kill terminal. So I have created a new post, a new model actually. Get that post component right. There you go. If I'm using this and I need to use it in another one, I have to export it. Otherwise, you can't use this post component. So I'm going to be using this post module within these posts. So I need to import it first. And I will import it. Yes. Now I can't see it, but I can just say responsive ink post. So it says post works. So responsive ink post is this component that I have created, which is post work. It shows just post works. Okay. So now if I look at it again, I have this component called posts, mind the S. Okay. And within that post component, I have a single post component. It's called responsive ink post. Okay, which is this one. Okay. So for example, I want to pass a variable, pass something inside this post. Okay, the single post from the post module. I can use something called in Angular inputs. Okay, at input. And I can say what is the type that it's going to be. It's going to be, let's say, title, and it's going to be type of string. Okay. So it's going to be not initiated at first. So we have to make it optional. That means it can come or can't come. We can't say exactly somebody is going to give it or not. So we can create something like this, title, and we can show that title in here. Right, format document in title. So we don't have a value for title right now. Okay, so what we can do is we should pass that value. Okay, within the post component, now we can access something called title, and we can pass any value. Since it is expecting a string, I can pass a string. It was on post, right? I can say a title in here. Let's say title 1. Just for fun. There you go. So in responsive ink, I can pass in the post component, I can pass a title, okay, whatever the value that I need, and it will come and bind in this input, okay, and it will show right in here. Okay, that's how we give an input to that. So same way we can do the output, and by doing that, we can communicate with the parent one, which is this post component, as well as the child component, which is this post. Okay, mind the S. Within the posts and post, we can communicate back and forth. So this is very straightforward. As long as there is a relationship between those things, I can pass the title in here. No worries. I can pass as an input. Okay. So the input is the basic mechanisms that we can communicate between the child and the parent. Okay, child can pass inputs. Parents can pass inputs to the child. Child can have outputs like this. Okay, I'm not going to show why it's really important. I mean, I'm not going to show it in here, but you guys can try it out, how we can use outputs as well as inputs. So using inputs and outputs, you can communicate directly with your parent and the child. But let's assume that this post component is having another child component, a child which is going, let's say, component X, and component X needs some inputs. Okay, let's say it is asking for a score, and we have to pass that. Okay, but in a situation where this x value is coming from an input, let's say input X in, let's say it is also a string, Okay, now we need to pass this X string to the score, X in. Likewise, what will happen is, I mean, this is obviously we haven't created a component called X. Like, the more deeper you go, the more deeper you have to pass these variables. You have to let's say, for example, X component needs something else, so it will go down the line very deeply nested children. We call these things. We call these things deeply nested children. We have to pass those values one by one. You have to pass this. So it is really annoying. I mean, you need to work on. You need to change a lot of layers in order to pass something to the latter part of the children. When you go more deeper and deeper, the value you need to pass, it's go more complicated. Every child and parent should adapt it, and you have to go down by down. So in order to avoid such a thing, what we can do is we can have something called common data source. Okay, common data source. So there are two ways that most of the people do. When I started working on, which is related to post service. Sorry, which is related to service. Okay. So if you want to, since these services that we are creating are singletons, that means when we are creating a post, it will create one instance for the whole application. So we can inject this post service within this component. I mean, this post component, we have injected it, and we can inject the same service within the post component. Okay, in here we can also inject. By injecting that, there is a bridge between these things. So the post service is going to be like a common bridge. So whenever you want to put something, you put it in the service first. And whenever you want to retrieve that, you can retrieve it from the component that you are listening. But this way, it is not ideal because it is based on service, and there are going to be a lot of services created, and we don't know how complex the data is going to be and how many places that we need to update. That's going to get really complicated if you are using a common service as a point or a common way of sharing data. Okay. To avoid this, to avoid all these things, deeply nested children getting values, and sometimes even some cases like lazy load routes. If you look at these lazy load routes, so there is only route outlet is here. Okay, so from app module, if I want to send something to the post or the home sections, how I'm going to do that? These are lazy loaded. So I can't, like this, these are lazy loaded. So I can't pass any values like inputs and outputs. I can't pass any values. There is no input and output for the route outlet. Even if even let's say we have input and output, we don't know which module is gonna consume these values. So we don't have any idea how is these things gonna be taken care of, or how they're gonna get these values. So some components, there are direct parent to child connection like this. We can use input outputs. But if you are using something like lazy loading, of course, there is no direct communication between these two. There is no direct communication. There is no way that I can send something from the home button to the post page. Okay, there is no way that I can communicate with. So to tackle these two problems, deeply nested children not able to receive values, and there is no connection between like lazy loaded modules, there obviously you can go with something like service-based communication between each other, or you can use something like common data source. Okay, common data source, which we call in terms of what do you call state management, a store. Okay, so in state management, what we do is we will have a global or a local state that we can share among the others. Okay, so state management is actually originated from React. If you guys know, React has the same problem. When they are deeply nested, you can't blast so many children, and it's going to be a mess. So in order to avoid that, what they come up with is a global state. Okay, then they have diverted it into local state and everything and else. But a global place where okay, when I change something, it is notified for me. It is known for me. So it's easier way that I can communicate within these components, and how we can pass values, pass details within components, or pass values within non-related components. So idea is we will have a global state, and whenever you want to get values, you take the value from the store. Okay, there's the store. You want to take values, you take those values from the store. Okay, whenever you want to update a value, you dispatch an action. Okay, you have something called actions. You dispatch an action. The action, what will do is it will do the manipulation. It will call a backend. It will do some calculation, whatever it needs. It will do that. Once it is done, it will update the store. Okay, you will dispatch an action. Once the action is done, it will update the store. Once the store is updated, automatically who is listening to that state change will get the notification. It's like, as I mentioned earlier, it is a reactive way of doing that. So whenever we have changed our store, the source of truth, whenever we change it, whoever is interested in that data source will get notified, and they can act upon that. Okay, we will see this in action, then you will get an idea. But remember the terms that I have mentioned: store, reduce, actions, and effects. Some might you will use effects, but those are like the terms in state management. But in Angular, these things, since Angular support RxJS, since Angular has a good service layer and all those things, Angular has a nice implementation of state management, and it is really easy compared to what we will see in React Redux world. Okay, we will see a couple of similarities. Of course, it's going to be the same similarity is going to be there, but there will be a couple of enhanced improvements by using TypeScript, by using RxJS. The process is a lot more easier compared to React and its counterparts. Okay, let's see how we can do that. So in Angular, there are two major, not actually two, or we can say there are a lot of state management libraries out there. Okay, one of the most popular one is Ngxs. Okay, Ngxs. Okay, so Ngxs is a state management software. Don't get confused with RxJS. Okay, RxJS. This is the RxJS is the stream and everything that we talked about. Stream observables. Okay, Ngxs is a state management. State management. There is Ngxs. This is also a state management software. Okay, so don't get confused. RS, not RS, RX. RxJS is a streaming and observable. Ngxs is state management software. Ngxs is also a state management software. There are a lot of other state management state management software is out there. If you search, you will find a lot. Angular state management. State management. So Ngxs is one of the top one. Ngxs. Yes, because Ngxs is like a lot of popular one. Let's see best 10 Angulars. So RX Angular state, NGF, like Akita. Akita is like cross-platform. You can use in React as well. NG Redux 2. There are like a lot of things that it support. NGRX state, Ngxs store. So a lot of things are there, but NGRX, Akita, Ngxs, those are like the most common or most widely used things, state management software. So Akita is one of the things is there. Akita actually state management for both Angular and React. You can use either, as I can remember. Yes. So NGRX and Ngxs are purely based on Angular only. It's not going to support React, but React has its own state management. Redux is there, Coil is there, Recoil is there. And use states is like at least local, but globally you can also use hooks as well. So Recoil is there. There are a lot of things. If you like, you can use Akita, Redux store, anything that is providing abstraction over that, it will be useful. So from my experience, I find I have used RxJS, NGRX for a couple of years, but the problem with NGRX is that I found it is a lot of boilerplate codes is there. It is trying to follow the exact replication of Redux design patterns or the things that you will find in Redux. It is like at least while I was using it, it was completely following the React Redux architecture. So it is a little bit complicated in terms of understanding NGRX. So we have, what I have found is Ngxs is really simple. The API is really simple, as well as it is not completely following the Redux, React and Redux architecture, but it follows more language features or more Angular features in order to achieve these things. So for example, they are using TypeScript annotations, and they are using stream observables, and there are a lot of things makes things easy for Ngxs. Okay, so we'll be looking at Ngxs, but the concept behind everything, it's going to be same. Okay, so the concepts with the store and effects and the actions, those are going to be same. So you can easily apply it to anywhere else. The library implementation is what's going to be a little bit different. Okay, so in order to get started, you have to install Ngxs. I think I already did that. Yes. Yeah. So we can install Ngxs, just putting npm install Ngxs, and it will do it for you. Or you can follow the Ngxs official guideline. Okay, it's really simple. Nothing that we can't do. That installation, just simply install by this and import Ngxs like this within our module. So we have state management for us. Right now, we don't have declared any states in here. So we don't have a state or a state to manage. We will create a state and we will see how we can utilize that state throughout the applications. Okay. So when we are creating such states and actions, we are mostly going to be using. Give me a second. Okay, sorry. So we will create states, one for global state, one for feature state. Okay. So if we register a state under for root, that means it's going to be available in the whole application. That way we know it's going to be a global state. Okay, it's going to be a global state. That means any component which is using within the application can access that. For example, example of global state would be something like whether the application is busy, whether it is loading as a global, whether there is a token, whether there is the username. Like we might need that information everywhere. So we will be using global state like that. Okay. So we will create a state. So to create a state, normally we go in the app, we create a new folder called shared. Okay, under shared, we will create states. Okay, and we will have a state for each and every different one. So state's gonna be have a folder called, let's say, app. Okay, we will have app state. Now in here we will create app.state state.ts. Okay, within here we will create the application wide state. Okay, so you guys can see some examples in here how to create states concept. I think under recipes you will find a lot of integrations, authentication related states, and all those things. We will go with something very simple. Otherwise, it will overwhelm you. So many things by today. Let's see whether we have snapshots, action state. Okay, this is a simple state. I will shamelessly copy. We'll paste it in here and we will customize this. And yeah, so it's not going to call animal state. We will call it app state. Okay. And within the app state, we have to go give a name for the app, and we will have defaults. So basically, we can define what is going to be residing on this model. So we will use interface, export interface app state. Okay, app state model. What is the model it's gonna show? So what kind of things it's gonna reside? So we will create a model called app state model, and we will look at the things it will be handling. So let's say we will show loading, and it's gonna be type Boolean. And the defaults, I will say loading is false. Okay. So let me walk through one more time. So we are defining application wide state. Okay. It's not written in somewhere like this is going to be app state or something like that. It's going to totally depend on where you're going to register this. So if you are going to register in app module, this is going to be a application wide state. So if you have a model that we need to save, then we will have these default sections. Okay, so in this default section, what we can do is, first of all, we will give a name. Okay, this name is what's the state going to be called. It's not going to be calling the name that you have assigned here. It will have a unique name. Make sure this unique name is unique throughout the application. And the app state, what are the things app state is going to be compromising it, or it's going to hold. So in app state model, you will have something like loading. It will have details about the loading, or let's say it will have details about the user. Okay, and the user detail will be user details will be here. And if you like, you can have a default value for those things. So let's say user is by default, it's gonna be, let's say, admin at whatever.com. Okay, so like this, what we can do is we can have details that will store or that will hold in the state to be used. Okay, so we will look how we can utilize these things. For now, remember the app model, app state model will have something that will hold loading and something will have with user. Okay, if you like, you can have default values. That means whenever the state is loading, this will be your default values. Okay. Right. Let's see. Okay. Right. These are the default values, and these things going to be what it's going to be stored in the state. So once we have defined the state, we obviously going to go and register this state in the root module. Since this is a root state, okay, remember, since it is root state, that we're going to be since it is going to be app wide, that's why we're going to be registering in the app in the Ngxs root module, which is in the app module. If it is not using globally, do not register in here. There is something what we call lazy or feature registration. We will look into that. Right now, since it is app level state, we'll be using that. Okay. All right. Next thing is to get the values from the app state. How are you gonna get those values? Okay. We will think probably we won't be able to do state changes, but at least we will get some values from the state. So how are we gonna do that? There are a couple of ways that you can do. The first way I would go is the simplest way. Let's say we want to take the value from the state, which says from the app state, I want to get the loading state. Okay, with what is the current value of loading, whether it is true or false, how I am gonna get it. So in order to get that, I need to have something called a selector. Okay, I need to select that value out of that state. So I'll be using something called selector. Let me see if I can find a selector in here. No, but very simple. Select. Let's go there. So select decorator, we can select from this store itself. So we will see selector. Yes, under state, we will define a selector. So at selector, okay, with this selector, it's going to be a static value. Okay. And we will say loading. Okay. It can be the same as this, but it's going to be a function. So don't worry about that. So it's going to be a, we will get the full state, and it's the type going to be app state model. Okay. Now from this, we need to return the state dot loading state. So basically what I have done is create a selector. That means I need to access this loading value from the state. So I have created a selector. It's going to be a static, and it can be the name of this variable as well. Most of the time that's what we use. And it will get the whole state. It will, when we are asking for the loading state, it will get the whole state, right, like what we see in here. And we can return that from this state. I'll be only interested in the loading state. I can extract that from here. Okay. So I have written a selector. So I am able to access the value what we have in here. Now, once the selector is written, I can go to the app component, and we have something called at select. Okay, not selector, but select. Okay, what we're going to be selecting? I will be selecting app state loading selector. Okay. And I will say the same name loading, but it's going to be a stream, because whenever what we are getting from, whatever the value that we are getting from the state, it's going to be a stream. And even though it's even though it is like what do you call in here, we see a Boolean. The type of loading is Boolean, but when we select that from the state, it's automatically going to be a observable Boolean. Okay. So so the loading for now, it is going to be in type of Boolean, and we can show it in here. Let's go to the app component, and as you can remember, I can say loading dot async. So you guys can see that loading current value is false. Okay, that's the default value that I have given in here. You can see that Boolean default is false, and it is there. So let's do this selection one more time. So I'm gonna be selecting the user this time. So I will create a selector, and this time it's gonna be user, and I'm gonna get the state as a whole. And I will the model is app state model. Right now, I am interested in state.user. Okay, I'm not interested in anything else. I will be interested in the user state username. So by default, the username is given as admin whatever. So I can go to any component anywhere in the application, and I can say I need to select app state.user. And it's going to be a user stream, and the type, it's going to be observable, and as I can remember, it's going to be a string. Now, if I want to access this user stream, what I have to basically do is go here and let's say P, and I can say, oops, what is this? User stream, I will asynchronize it. There you go. So you will get, I think this should be in span. We will make, yeah. So there you go. I took the value from the state. Wherever you want to take this value, you can take this value out of the state. So this is in the app modules. You might say, okay, app module is also there in the module registration. Now, let's say, for example, I want to take this value in the pages, posts, under post. So there is no connection here. So it's the same theory. What we have to do is we have to write a selector. we have to do a select. We're going to be selecting from app state, and we'll be interested in user, and user will be stream, and it's going to be observable string. Okay, and it's going to be optional because we might get or not. And if I try to put this in here, probably I won't be seeing. Let me show why. Since it is app state, I might get. I have to use a sync pipe. There you go. Since it is global, you can access it anywhere. So anywhere that you want to select that value from the store, from the what do you call, the state, all you have to do is select from the app state, whatever the state that you are interested in, it will be returning as observable, and you can subscribe to it. There you go. It's really simple. You can retrieve the value from the store itself. Okay, so you guys practice on this. I think probably I will show you next time whenever we change something, what will happen, and we will be looking at actions per se. So it's going to be really fun, and when you click fetch, maybe we can change the names, and it will reflect everywhere in the application. No matter how deep it is, as long as you are injecting. As long as you are injecting, or as long as you are selecting, it will show it the changes. Okay, let me stop the sharing. So I think we are coming to the given time. Any questions up until this, guys? Anything that I need to clarify before I stop the lecture? I mean, obviously you guys have to. Sorry?
Sir.
Yes. I can't hear you clearly.
Sir, using the state management, can we maintain the update and unupdated state? For example, if we take a user's form,
okay,
we are calling the API and getting the user's detail and show it in the form. So if we, until user edit the form, we can disable the submit button.
yes.
So is there that kind of mechanism we can do using the state management?
Obviously, so what you are saying is you will have a form, you will hit submit, and once it is fully submitted for the database and everything is coming back, you need to disable the submit button again, right?
No, it is already it is an editable form.
Okay.
If we take a user profile in the applications, so when click that user profile form, then it will show the current details.
Of course.
And the submit button also. So until user edits that input fields, we want to disable the button.
So you don't need state management for that. You can use validators, right? From group validators. That will be really easy.
Without maintaining the previous, I am asking, is there any mechanism for maintaining the previous state and new state like that?
I'm not quite getting what you're asking, Tarun. Maybe you can send me a chat so I can explain a little bit more with some more details. So if you have a screenshot or something like that, that will help. I'm not quite getting your situation, I think. If you can send me, then I can have a look. Then we will discuss. Maybe you can post it in the so everyone else can also know.
Okay, so I will send it later.
Yeah. Okay, that's great. Okay, there are a lot of things, a lot of combinations, a lot of things that you can do with state management. Let's see how far we can go. It's really complex in terms of handling state. Sometimes even we get lost, but if you practice enough, you will get to see, okay, this is nothing but, wiring things up together. It's really easy. So we'll be surprised how much powerful the state management is. A lot of guys don't know that. They use services. Once the service layer is really complicated and there is no point of return. But remember, state management, it is not always needed for an application. You will know when you need state management. Okay, you know the concept, and at a point where application is coming to okay, now we need state management, then you can apply. Don't apply it for smaller projects. It will just make your application more complicated. So you don't need state management in every application, but when the application is complex, you will know, okay, I need state management now. So that is the concept behind state management. All right. Anything else, guys, that we need to discuss? If not, we can wind up for today. We'll talk in more detail on the next lecture. Okay. If nothing else there, we will wind up for today. If you have any suggestions that we need to cover in terms of mobile development and web, please let's put it in the chat and we will discuss, and we will further go on this journey. You don't have to be in within the syllabus. Anything new, anything interesting, we will discuss, and we'll try to come up a good way that you can learn everything. Okay. All right. See you guys next week. Hopefully have a nice weekend. Bye.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.